Welcome to my independent learning project. My name is Victoria. My focus is on the inquiry, provocations, and learning invitation aspect of kindergarten. I have researched and learned what inquiry is all about and how it relates to the kindergarten curriculum. My new learning began with a few investigation and exploration questions. I first wondered, how do I propose a question to the class that engages with their interests and inquiry? I learned that there is a lot of power in asking the right questions. This requires us, as teachers, to learn student interests and to engage them in inquiry, in dialogue, and in exploration. We have to learn how to pause on our planning. If students let their curiosities take the learning in a different direction, we must let them run with their ideas. Our job as educators is to find a connection between what is needed to learn in the curriculum and what they want to learn. It works backwards, but it is important to note that somehow everything connects. Students take ownership of their learning and make meaningful learning connections when they are working through learnings they are interested in. We have to learn to be masters of connecting ideas that students are interested in and connecting it to necessary material that is crucial to be learned at school. We have to let students inquire about a topic, spend time investigating and exploring it, researching it in different ways, showing our understanding in different ways, and creating something with it. Patrick Samarapangavan and Man Zikolopoulos discussed that a key challenge in designing a guided inquiry question for children to investigate has to allow them to generate meaningful knowledge which can't be instructed through the teacher's interests but through the student's interests. I also wondered how inquiry connects with purposeful play. Purposeful play consists of opportunities for students to experience innate curiosity, exploration, manipulation, building, creating, wonder, and asking questions. The Ministry of Education discusses how play based learning works in a culture of inquiry. This focuses on play as a vehicle of learning. Young children are receptive to opportunities to innovate and create based on their own interests, curiosities, and wonders. Inquiry in the connection to purposeful play adopts something called an inquiry stance. An inquiry stance, as defined by the Ministry of Education, is the mindset of questioning and wondering. This helps students explore their natural curiosity in the world as they play, explore, and learn. Children are able to express their inquiry and stimulate curiosity and wonder through questioning as they play. Purposeful play can consist of drawing, modeling, acting, building, constructing, or creating. I questioned if inquiry planning covers all subject areas of the kindergarten program. I learned that the four frames of kindergarten are crucial to take into account when planning for inquiry opportunities in kindergarten. Students are learning to develop literacy and mathematics behaviors. They are learning to create a science identity. In doing so, students are demonstrating their ability to communicate their feelings and thoughts. Students are participating in active engagement and learning in their space throughout math, literacy, and science activities to develop a love for learning. Students' literacy behaviors can be recognized through inquiry in the way they use language, images, or tools and materials to express their ideas. Students learn to listen, speak, and represent their ideas through reading and writing. Thomas Ryan writes that one of the very important features students experience in learning math through inquiry is the enjoyment and satisfaction in finding out for themselves something they wanted to know. Working through that process of experimenting with mathematical manipulatives to develop their own strategies through inquiry makes the learning more meaningful and authentic to our kindergarten students. As mathematicians, students learn to represent, identify, and work through different concepts in mathematics during the play and inquiry process. Students focus on assessing, managing, creating, and evaluating information, experience, concepts, and different skills. Cindy Hoisington discusses the cycle of inquiry in children learning science. Instead of looking at concrete concepts, students participate in self-motivated childhood inquiry. This chart represents how science inquiry unfolds in a single exploration. It allows students to generate new questions for investigation and opportunities for understanding and experiencing inquiry. This is a different form of structured planning that facilitates inquiry-based learning for students. It connects both a way to maintain focus on the concept as well as promote their inquiry and wonders. Students begin with engaging, noticing, and wondering. They then move towards engaging, questioning, and predicting, then to explore, investigate, and observe, and record as they work through the materials and learnings. And at the end, students finally discuss, reflect, and make connections with their peers about what they learned or what they know. Alice Samarapangavan says the design of science learning environments for children offers students a chance to construct, evaluate, and reconstruct models of their natural world. This process of guided inquiry allows students the opportunity to investigate and support their own curiosity and learning. I started to wonder how provocations fit into the learning of the kindergarten classroom. I found out the inquiry process follows a series of steps. It begins with initial engagement, in which students are noticing, wondering, and playing. This is where they begin raising questions about objects and events around them. Students then explore, observe, and question. They use their senses to begin generating questions. This is how our provocations fit into their learning. We begin posing thoughtful and open-ended questions. This encourages dialogue among students, their peers, and their teachers. We can begin creating provocations for students to explore a variety of materials and resources that ask them to strategically question, observe, discover, and expand on their thinking, wondering, and curiosities. This is incorporated in the investigation stage of the inquiry planning, where students plan, observe, and reflect. The inquiry process then moves to communication, where students share their findings and discuss their ideas. Students search findings from their learning provocations and then make connections to their knowledge, discoveries, and peer conversations. I questioned if the kindergarten program depends on invitations for learning to promote inquiry. In my findings, I learned as educators we can co-construct inquiry and learning with our students. Invitations for learning allow educators to collaborate with children to formulate questions, solve problems, think out loud, select materials and tools, and stimulate and support creativity. This is how students intentionally and purposefully listen, observe, document, analyze, and provide feedback through questions and prompts that enhance their learning. When invitations of learning are present, children notice, wonder, observe, question, and explore their interests. Baker describes a new type of teacher research called playful participatory research. This is a new form of pedagogy that engages in playful activities and provocations to promote creative thinking. It ensures students use a playful mindset and collaborate with each other and with other children in playful ways through invitations for learning that teachers create and facilitate. Baker states in playful learning, play activities should be purposeful and connected to our research goals or the guidelines we are following throughout the curriculum. Another one of the characteristics for playful participatory research is for teachers to test new ideas through playful learning. This type of play is structured through learning provocations, but then explored by children in ways that trigger their curiosities and wonderings about a topic. Eddie and Sigurdsmack claims that there have been a shift in how activities were teacher-centered in kindergarten and have now moved towards involving children in the inquiry process, especially in science activities. Science activities in early learning is now inquiry-based and encourages students to learn without memorization. This motivates students to ask questions through an invitation to learn and play. Teachers are able to support student inquiry by promoting and creating invitations to learn while implementing activities planned by the teacher. Children are then able to follow up on these activities through their own inquiries. I wanted to learn more about how inquiry learning is assessed in kindergarten and its connection to the evaluation and assessment practices. I learned that kindergarten teachers use pedagogical documentation to gather and analyze student data based on what they are learning. Teachers reformulate learning goals and success criteria that is present in the curriculum to help connect student inquiry to what is taught. As students participate and reflect on different learning situations, they take further steps in inquiry and learning goals. Assessment in kindergarten program takes on a different approach depending on the classroom. It is suited to the individual's needs, strengths, and interests of the student in a way that will promote development and progress. I also learned by Thomas Ryan that since it's an inquiry-based approach, it focuses more on the individual as a learner, whereas traditional assessment methods aren't effective to measure progress and success in this situation. Documentation is so much more prominent and efficient in kindergarten to help educators take a closer look at the process of learning and the progress of learning of students that are exhibited in the classroom. This helps guide educators as they design a classroom environment that piques curiosity of their students. Inquiry occurs through educators' use of pedagogical documentation. The idea of documenting learning helps students and teachers create a visual representation of the student learning. This is the process that teachers gather and analyze information from student questions, wonders, curiosities, and make thinking visible and learning visible to assess. There is an ongoing assessment for, as, and of different types of learning in kindergarten to support different stages of their development. This is a collaborative process with educators, children, and family members as students engage in play-based learning and inquiry opportunities. Eddie and Sigurdsmack state that the importance of teacher recording documentation for student learning is important. Many inquiry-based science activities that have been researched in this journal states that the encouragement and engagement of students increase. They gain experiences, ask more questions, reveal their curiosities, and interact more with both their peers and teachers. This facilitation of dialogue that is documented and strategically created is important for students and teachers to work collaboratively in the learning process. Thomas Ryan reminds us that all kindergarten documentation findings won't be the same or look the same. Students may express their findings and discoveries through writing, drawing, or visual arts. Others may even use the drama center. It's important for students to realize that they can learn from their mistakes, and those mistakes and misconceptions is what drives inquiry forward. As always, we need to rethink the way we assess students to consider how to accurately measure the learning taking place in the classroom from different students. I then wondered how we can plan for inquiry learning. I'm a planner. I spend most of my free time planning for the future to ensure I have all units and lessons prepared if I need them. I learned from Catherine Becker that there isn't a lot of planning that can go into inquiry learning before you enter the kindergarten classroom. Each classroom and group of students is completely different. A large block of time for child-initiated learning activities at learning centers where purposeful interactions that have been planned is the way that you can plan ahead for your kindergarten classroom. This can only happen after you get to know your students and their interests and build on those inquiries. Eddy and Sertiger Mack claim that teachers make significant improvements in planning, implementing, and evaluating inquiry-based science activities in their classrooms. Organizing a room for kindergarten that is structured through inquiry involves evolving your classroom into a child-centered and guiding teacher role during the process. This may not involve planning of lessons from the curriculum, but definitely ranges from recognizing initial curiosities in our students. Now, you might ask, what is the kindergarten program and its connection to inquiry? It's a new child-centered program for the learning of 4 to 5-year-olds that occur in a play-based environment for the development of all children. It is understanding of how children enter the program with their own cultural and social backgrounds, along with their personalities in different developmental stages. It is important for students to experience inquiry in these stages of their lives to support their early years to strongly influence their future. Lisa Hansel taught me that the key features of joyful learning should be present in the classroom and experienced by all learners. As kindergarteners get their first day of school socializing, crafting, and creating, they are constantly mesmerized by all the new things in the world and all it has to offer them. Fostering positive identities as students are looked at as curious and capable learners is what this program is all about. Although the kindergarten program is emergent, flexible, and constantly changing, Catherine Becker says it's important for the kindergarten team to ensure these 4 elements. 1. A balance of team and child-initiated learning activities. 2. A large block of uninterrupted play when children manipulate objects, act out roles, and experiment with different materials. 3. A large block of time for child-initiated learning activities at learning centers where purposeful interactions have been planned. 4. Play, daily routines, and classroom experiences that focus on the 4 frames of thinking and learning must be present. The 4 frames are belonging and contributing, self-regulation and well-being, demonstrate literacy and math behaviors, and problem-solving and innovating. Now you might think, what does the kindergarten environment look like with inquiry in kindergarten? The kindergarten learning environment supports the creation of one that allows children to feel comfortable in using new thinking and learning into their space. It provides support for students that creates realistic challenges for students to face. Inquiry in the kindergarten classroom demonstrates curiosity, creativity, and confidence in student learning. Lisa Hansel claims teacher classrooms should always be fun, challenging for students, have opportunities to engage with core concepts, working collaboratively with their peers and other educators, and expanding their knowledge by listening, examining, exploring, and discussing. This learning environment begins with the teacher and how they choose to ensure the learning environment offers a chance for students to wonder, inquire, and explore. The learning environment should make kindergarten students feel empowered in the room. Catherine Becker also suggests that we move the kindergarten learning environment elsewhere to plan for daily learning opportunities to provide opportunities for students to explore, care for, and interact with nature as well. Now, this whole idea around inquiry-based learning. Thomas Ryan says that children are curious and teaching through inquiry helps teachers facilitate student learning by providing a variety of tools, resources, and experiences that enable learners to investigate, reflect, and rigorously discuss potential solutions for their own questions about a topic. It engages social, emotional, cognitive, linguistic, physical, spiritual, and creative dimensions of learning. It focuses on the understanding that children have a strong sense of identity. It is described by the Government of Alberta that a multifaceted process where students formulate questions, investigate to find answers, build new understandings, meanings, and knowledge, and communicate their learning to others. The kindergarten program provides learning opportunities and experiences for students to recognize what they know, what they wonder, and how to move on towards their future in learning. In inquiry-based classrooms, Catherine Becker says, educators provide a rich variety of materials and resources for students to learn. They take time to observe children and note down what they notice and wonder, and then provide an inquiry opportunity for the class. Invitations and provocations for learning are strategically posed with open-ended questions to continue to encourage students to extend and expand their learning and thinking, and then connect that with the classroom. Thomas Ryan states that within these classrooms that promote inquiry-based learning, students are actively involved in solving authentic problems. Whether this be through invitations to learn or learning provocations, students are gaining the skill sets that connect the curriculum to the community. Inquiry is play. Children learn through play, exploration, and inquiry. Children develop skills they will need for their own lives during the play-based learning that allows them to develop inquiry. Thomas Ryan states that inquiry-based learning is a learner-centered form of teaching and learning that enables students to tailor their experiences to their own interests and curiosities. These interests and curiosities are sought out by observed by teachers who then provide opportunities for students to engage in play-based learning and develop a better understanding of what they are intrigued by. Students learn to be critical and creative as they innovate and problem solve through inquiry, which is all done through play-based learning. There are different types of play-based learning that students engage in when working in an inquiry learning space to foster their curiosities and interests. These interests and curiosities are sought out and observed by teachers who then provide students with opportunities to engage in play-based learning and develop a better understanding of what they are intrigued by. Catherine Becker describes constructive play, which develops planning skills, and pretend play, which promotes communication and regulation, as two common types of play-based learning in kindergarten. We also have invitations for learning. Lisa Hansel says joyful learning is possible and powerful as it advocates for children and their experiences of thrill, confidence, and motivation. These experiences and opportunities stem from pre-created invitations for learning from teachers based on their recognition of student inquiry and interests. The kindergarten curriculum creates opportunities for educators to organize child-initiated free play and structured play-based learning opportunities. Catherine Becker says this encourages students to think creatively, explore, investigate, problem solve, share their feelings and learnings with others, and engage in more inquiry. When students are provided with invitations to learn, they demonstrate more positive effects on learning, says Thomas Ryan. Engaging students in the learning environment with inquiry is collaborative, welcome, and safe. The inquiry classroom supports student learning and well-being as the ability to learn. Classrooms with inquiry can take place indoors or outdoors and are flexible with time and space. Students are able to utilize new materials and is student-centered. Students have the freedom of choice, challenge, and collaboration. This type of learning environment is structured by educators and children, as well as families. Families play a crucial role in the development of student learning. This type of learning environment inspires joy, awe, and wonder in students. Lisa Hansel says it should be rigorous, accountable, playful, and joyful in its intentional, child-directed, and play-based learning. Creating an inquiry atmosphere in the classroom requires teachers to be interested in the classroom and student discoveries. Teachers begin asking questions about student observations. Etienne Sergetmack says an inquiry atmosphere in the classroom isn't rushed. It is flexible with time and allows for time to classroom share. This could look different in a variety of classes. It could look like a student-led investigation that begins with their questions about a specific subject or topic of interest. Thomas Ryan suggests that the desks in the classroom are also arranged in groups so students can build on their knowledge together as well. There are many benefits of inquiry learning in the kindergarten classroom. In recognizing that play is an essential role in child development, it encourages educators to look at students as capable and curious. It honors the child's views of what the student's learning looks like and how their imagination and creativity flourishes when they are intrigued by inquiry learning. It also enables students to explore, play, and inquire as they navigate the world around them. This invites them to be active participants in their classroom and then go off into the world and do the same. Students have so many more opportunities to observe, listen, question, and engage with new tools, concepts, and materials when working with inquiry. Student interest drives the instruction in kindergarten classrooms about any topic students are interested in learning about. Thomas Ryan says learning is optimal when individuals interact through dialogue, asking questions, and actively constructing their own knowledge. The art of questioning is also very important in inquiry-based learning, which is promoted through a pedagogical approach of formulating questions around specific ideas. As Thomas Ryan claims, of the Ontario Curriculum and Kindergarten Program, a large portion of the day is devoted to play because of the work educators do to set up the classroom in such a way for intentional and purposeful play. As Lisa Hansel states, the greatest benefit of joyful learning in kindergarten is lifelong learning. Thank you for watching and listening. Feel free to browse through the resources, images, websites, and videos attached to further your understanding of inquiry.